Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting Propagandacast with me, your host, Imperial Dane. It's time for the Monday Novice fight. Yes, indeed, if you can't handle that, well, just check one of the other replays I've casted during the many months I've been casting now. Perhaps you missed one. Oh dear, yes, that would be terrible. Might be even a fun one. So, Monday Novice fight, we're going to be seeing a 1 versus 1 in the Ruins of Rouen. Yes, indeed, a bit of a alliteration there, I suppose. Somewhere in Germany, somewhere perhaps near Hürtgen, small military German base, with what remains, well, what used to be a town attached to it. Who shall be opposing each other? When in the northern corner we are going to be seeing KingWeefII, or KingWeefII. I'm not entirely sure, he seems a bit odd. Nonetheless, here he is fighting for the 79th Infantry Division. And opposing him shall be Fedecrank of the 3rd Panzergrenadier Division. Oh, that was not an SS unit. In fact, let's get right down to it. And of course, I mean, when you, for example, as the Panzer Elite are fighting Americans, or of course Americans fighting the Panzer Elite, of course you have to sort of make considerations. What could my opponent possibly go for? What things should I possibly going for? I mean, if you're fighting as the Americans versus the Panzer Elite, I mean, most Panzer Elite players, for example, tend to go straight for the armored car. Some might go to a Panzer IV, and there's certainly most likely bound to be an anti-tank half-track somewhere in it. Conversely, I mean, as the Panzer Elite, I mean, the BARs, I mean, you usually don't see them very much longer. I mean, usually partly because, again, as the Americans, I mean, you're usually going to be face-off again, like the armored car, and of course, what does mean as a Panzer Elite? You're going to have to prepare for your own armored cars, usually in the form again of the anti-tank half-track. You might also get Panzer Shreks, but not quite as advisable though, since they're a lot less accurate, and their mates sort of can weave about it. So I mean, things like that, you know, have to be remembered. Panzer is though securing the point here, and he seems to be a bit cautious. The opponent is going straight for the kampfgruppe company after his 2nd Panzergrenadier team. That's pretty early. He's probably not going to be rushing for the Panzerjäger command, though he might be going for some sort of half-track business, and of course, a bit rarer, though I wouldn't say go against it. I mean, I usually use infantry half-tracks myself. And well, he sent me a friend request, so of course. Either way, I mean, a bit more action here. The Americans sort of slowly heading out here, sticking to the eastern side, whereas the Panzer Elite sticking to the western side. Of course, we'll have to see how that one works out. Kampfgruppe company still going up, barracks up. I mean, so far again, the usual stuff. The Americans certainly getting some boots on the ground. That is good. The Panzer Elite commander, he's not rushing very much forwards. Of course, he might be hoping to sort of get his Panzergrenadiers to link up, and of course, get a bit more firepower out of that. And he's yes, indeed, going for the infantry half track, which I don't think the 3rd Panzergrenadier Division would have had, though they might have had some, I suppose, for the reconnaissance. Again, I'm a bit unsure. All those little details, I don't have so much knowledge on those chaps, except they were sort of one of the few units actually forced to form mobile reserve in preparation for Operation Wacht am Rhein or Herbstnebel. Panzer is facing off against the riflemen, and what do? They sort of slug off, and yes, this 3rd fellow isn't really getting into it. He should be trying, you know, a bit forward, you know, Mr. Fedecrank, a bit forwards. Also, I mean, it might not be a bad idea to sort of try and flank, you know, I mean, in this case, flanking would sort of entail, and let's just briefly pause, you know, walking off through here, up here, and then sort of firing it down through here again where the car won't apply. But now we are seeing further rifle around for KingWeefII. Further rifle pushing onwards. They could in fact also be trying to flank the Panzergrenadiers, and of course they might be doing a better job there. In fact, now 1 Panzergrenadier is down. Infantry half-track is ready. Moving up, nice to see. Stay in cover though, stay in cover, remember, cover is directional. So of course in this case, yes indeed, up on this side where it covers. Then they're going for half-track arriving. Will there be reinforcements? Yes indeed. And of course, I mean, a good idea might be to pop in some Panzergrenadiers into the half-track, and then actually try to flank the riflemen, you know, move up to the side here, and then just find out they're not going to have sticky bombs, and an infantry half-track with Panzergrenadiers in it can really do a lot of damage if you use it to flank it quite aggressively. I mean, that could easily have sort of push this force right off the bat. Now we are seeing some engineers flanking about. This is only going to make things a bit harder for the Panzergrenadiers, sort of caught in a strobe line effect with these sort of lampposts not quite working. Now the infantry half-track is turning about, but riflemen moving in from the north. They're out in the open. And of course, let's briefly pause. What happens here? Riflemen are charging. What do? Target down the riflemen. Target priorities. I mean, an infantry half-track, 2 Panzergrenadier teams versus 2 half-health rifleman teams. The Panzergrenadiers with the infantry half-track could be dealing with that quite nicely. But again, instead, Fedecrank is pulling back, leaving his Panzergrenadiers a bit off as well. Not quite good. And again, we're seeing a full retreat. Not really a good start. A bit of a poor misunderstanding of the situation. Again, I mean, usually you don't want to be charging at an infantry or half-track and Panzergrenadiers accompanying it. Usually you also want to have some troops in the infantry half-track to sort of get the most out of it, get a good bit of mobility on it. And really an infantry half-track with Panzergrenadiers is really one of the more powerful things in the game if used properly and used aggressively. And we are now seeing a second infantry half-track, not a lot of further infantry. Infantry half-track is soaking up some of the damage. Second one, not really moving forwards. Come on, Fedecrank, don't be crank, which does mean sick. More riflemen have arrived for KingWeef. He's just sort of sticking to the heavy cover, securing what he can of the map, although some of his engineers do seem a bit unsure. Going for supply outs, of course he's going for the M8 armoured car. Half-track moving up here, and he might be trying to flank the American positions. That's nice, but why not, you know, use the half-track to get up there? Perhaps you can also reinforce all that. There we go. Now the riflemen are reacting. Does the infantry half-track number 2 pull in to sort of do something? Not quite. I mean, he's not quite really getting the proper mobility aspect out of the Panzergrenadiers, which is quite sad to see. More Panzergrenadiers are arriving, but again, not really doing the sort of best thing here. He's actually slugging it out with the rifleman as the Panzer Elite. The last thing you want to do generally is be slugging it out with your opponent. I mean, you're not necessarily going to be coming out well of it. I mean, you're probably going to be suffering quite heavily in terms of losses. Again, you know, get those other chaps up, and again, flank attack from numerous positions. Don't just, you know, stand in one position and try to sort of slug it out. Not really doing too well for our Panzer Elite friend right at this moment. And all more Panzergrenadiers are arriving through the flickering darkness. Riflemen are slightly going down, but again, I mean, a flanking position or attempt would have done much better and would probably force these positions to collapse a lot earlier. Interesting enough, we're not really seeing any mines or anything else. We're seeing flamethrowers from KingWeef, but nothing further. Motor pool though is on the way. Second infantry half-track is moving up.
Americans are seizing territory from us.
Sort of further skirmish though. Rather protected, although it might be time to get the riflemen out of there. Flamethrower engineers are moving in. Flanking getting stopped though by some solid Gewehr 43-5 from the Panzergrenadiers. Oh dear, some of the riflemen are in fact out of cover. Looks like they might now at this stage actually sort of be gunned down. Too much firepower being arrayed against them. Have to be careful, KingWeef. Down to one man. Yes, there we go. Get them out of there. But now the other riflemen getting into problems, getting suppressed because again they were in the open before they arrived into the heavy cover. So retreat with Zug Männer and keep those engineers out there as well. Don't feed, you know, men into a position that's already pretty much collapsed. That's not going to help you very much. Now, of course, yes, indeed, repairing some of those things. Get some Panzergrenadiers moving about. Actually holding most of the victory points. Quite interesting, quite interesting. But, of course, he's sort of ended up in another problem. KingWeef has an armoured car on the way. Fedecrank has nothing to actually stop an armoured car. No Panzer tracks. He does get a Panzer support command underway, but that's going to take some time. And as some of you might be sort of cautiously noting, KingWeef already has an armoured car. So of course good judicious use of that can easily turn things around for Fedecrank, who after some bleeding and fighting has finally secured the centre, but now there's an armoured car rushing in. Although, you know, armoured skirts is always a good idea, although again he's probably not expecting anything. I mean, 2 infantry half-tanks is actually quite a bit of a fuel investment. They're still holding quite a bit of the map now. Half-tanks are coming under fire. M8 on the move. Still no armoured skirts though. KingWeef, what are you doing? Always get armoured skirts for your M8s. Always. In particular if you're seeing me, you know, using them like that. Oh dear, and there we go. Coming under fire from the flak feeling to actually do a bit of damage there. Oh, the infantry half-tank going down again. Not really the best of situations. And he went for the 50 caliber first. Oh, no. Not the 50 caliber. Get some armoured skirts up first. Second infantry half-track is down, kaput. That's pretty much the majority of his vehicle pool completely wrecked. Again, always pretty much ensure to have some sort of anti-tank assets. And there we go. I mean, flak feeling sort of wrecked that again. Unupgraded armored car. I mean, if you're playing the Americans, if you get M8s, get armored skirts for them as the first bloody thing. It makes them much tougher. As you might have noticed there, this M8 pretty much just got wrecked. So again, kindly don't do that. No mines going up for KingWeefII. Again, he's sort of missing a lot of opportunities. He's not doing quite well. Wait, there we go. Mines. No melee station though. Rather than engaging the Fedecrank, forcing that away. Several Panzergrenadiers with Gewehr 43s and another infantry half-track on the way. Well, it's nice to see he's not gaining up on it. Again, I'm sort of wondering why, but again, these 3rd Panzergrenadier division was actually sort of forced to hand over a kampfgruppe to sort of act as the army group reserve, or the core reserve, to sort of in case something did go wrong and they needed some armor, while the rest was sort of being made ready for the huge, Operation Wassermarine. Most of the other divisions at the front was then either Grenadier divisions or Volksgrenadier divisions. Four Gewehr 43s, that's quite a few. Why the anti-tank half-track is not pulled forward to the front? I mean, come on again. Use the half-tracks to support your Panzergrenadiers. Don't have them hanging back when they're under fire from an M8, mate. There we go. And, oh dear, KingWeefII again, armored skirts. Armored skirts upgrade. For heaven's sake. Upgrade, upgrade, upgrade. And he's not. I mean, had he been playing against the Wehrmacht with the pack that I made, would definitely have been down the drain. I mean, really, you do ensure to get your M8s upgraded at all times possible, unless you don't have the resources for it. And if you don't, you get the resources. Taking points while under fire again. And again, he does it. 50 caliber before the armored skirts. Again, do not do that. And for Fedecrank, the trick is to actually get some half-tracks up to support his infantry. And remember to get some veterans on those Panzergrenadiers as well. He's really making a lot of bad mistakes, but again, that's why we do call this the Monday Novice fight. We had to sort of analyze things like that, and again, it's sort of mostly slugging out matches. There's not quite a lot of, elite or Panzer Elite over this Panzer Elite player. He's not really trying to flank, not really trying to be mobile. And he's not really getting the most out of his half-tracks again to support his Panzergrenadiers. BARs have been researched for KingWeefII. That's only going to increase the firepower he does have ready.
Forces are taking casualties.
Oh dear, he lost the rifleman team, didn't he? Again, pull units up that are wounded. Always know when to pull out, know when to stand your ground and fight. Logistic company on the way for Fedecrank. Now that light anti-tank half-tank moving up, he could, of course, get a Bergtiger and then perhaps, recover these 2 infantry half-tracks. Might be an idea. He certainly does need no upgrade for it. Get those Panzergrenadiers to the front. Push harder. Don't just be sort of sluggish about it. I mean, there's not really much, elan or grace or initiative or any sort of thing over Fedecrank at the moment. He's a bit too slow, and we are seeing airborne have been chosen for KingWeefII. He's calling in some, in fact, at this moment. Having finally upgraded the armored car with some armored skirts, about bloody damn time. But light logistic company is ready. And currently his front is only manned with half-tracks. That's not really good.
Munitions point under attack.
And these riflemen do need to be careful. They need to get out of there. Do not underestimate Panzergrenadiers with the 43s. And there we go, retreating most swiftly. And again, don't take points while under fire. It's not really going to help you. It's only going to lose your men, as you might have noticed right there. Might be a better idea to sort of deal with the things preventing you from taking the point.
Just listen to that engine burr.
And so he needs to get some munitions ready for those. Airborne. Anti-tank gun. What we like to see, rather than getting reinforced, but still he's not quite looking good. KingWeef has been sort of a bit naughty in terms of actually getting things done, getting things moved about, and of course keeping his bloody troops alive. And we are now seeing increased squad sizes from Fedecrank, which does result in his Panzergrenadiers coming under quite a bit of fire. But it does feel a bit bolder now, and of course he's going to be able to take a few more beatings before being forced to pull away. Anti-tank half-tracks moving up. We're not seeing focused fire from them again. I mean, if you're going to use anti-tank half-tracks, you know, use focused fire. I mean, that's sure to actually help you a bit more. Rather than moving up to flank. And we're infecting grenades. Great job there. I mean, if you're seeing a lot of Panzergrenadiers, you know, get grenades, that's only going to do a bit of damage. And oh dear, the M8 trying to fight it off like a tank. Now, of course, it's knocked out and taking quite a bit of damage from the anti-tank half-tracks. Airborne are doing what they can. But again, the resources for recoilless rifles were spent on a grenade, though, so... And these rifles need to get out of there quickly. They're down to very little health. Hands airborne also... Oh dear, again, fighting fights he should not be fighting. And taking some pretty substantial losses in the process. Not really doing well for KingWeef at all. I do believe it's time for the mid-game analysis. I mean, it's looking pretty grim for KingWeef. He's taking heavy losses. Armored cars, airborne, everything going down the drain. He's been lacking in aggression, lacking in unit preservation. Although, mind you, I mean, it's not like Fedecrank has been doing a much more sterling job, but you know, he's been doing the least terrible of the two, I suppose you might say. And certainly been using those anti-tank half-tracks and the infantry half-track to keep his Panzergrenadier supported. So in that sense, he does have a slight advantage at the moment. And oh dear, his anti-tank gun, it's exposed. Dear. And the rest of his forces are in the west, not really fighting. Not good either. He needs to sort of quickly get a grip on what the bloody hell he's doing. And get around to actually killing some Panzergrenadiers. He needs to start making Fedecrank bleed. I mean really bleed. And the trouble is he's not. And if... Once that means a chance of getting back in, he needs to make Fedecrank bleed profusely until he's white. So there you go. And Fedecrank, on the other hand, of course, wants to be careful around grenades, not blob up too much, because you know his opponent has gone airborne, might have some strafing runs prepared at some stage. And of course, you know, uses half-tracks. Probably also wants to push the advantage, you know, perhaps getting a Panzer IV Hotchkiss, perhaps getting those infantry half-tracks prepared with a Bergtiger or something else, but you know, he wants to get pushing. Wants to secure some points, but let's return to the fight. Anti-tank half-tank in problems. Panzergrenadiers hunting it down. Clearing out the crew, in fact. And of course, KingWeef is in quite a bit of trouble. He needs his troops reinforced, and he needs some actual troops forwards as well. But at the same time, I mean, Fedekrank's not really doing much. He's sort of thinking, well, I have the center now. I don't need to do anything more. Again, wrong. Push. Be aggressive. Take the initiative and hold it. Don't just sit back and decide to have some biscuits. Now we're seeing another push by KingWeef. He's not giving up. Running into some Panzergrenadiers. Oh dear, veterans here too. Gewehr 43. Offensive Panzergrenadiers. Oh dear, the riflemen getting slaughtered. Grenade right at the Panzergrenadiers, but still need to get out of there.
Enemy unit down.
And that went quite wrong all of a sudden for Fedecrank. The grenades did quite an excellent job there. Followed up by some other shots, and that's 4 Panzergrenadiers, veterans E2, completely gone. With only one survivor, he's sort of begging for a medic, but the Panzer Elite doesn't have time for medics apparently. Recoilless rifles on the way, that's also going to help. We're now seeing a supply drop going in for an American friend. And I have no idea why he isn't getting those troops back, you know, getting reinforced. I mean, again, don't clump around units again, around points. I mean, they're not going to be taken fast, and you're only going to do sort of basically telling, well, why don't you fire off some artillery here? That would be nice. I mean, don't. It's not going to help you. But we are now seeing the heavy machine gun being secured by riflemen. Does he also go for the mortar? That would be interesting to see.
Rifle squad, all eyes and ears.
But certainly that heavy machine gun is going to help against any Panzergrenadier numbers and a sort of larger kind. Panzerjäger command is up. Airborne moving forwards, recoil rifle in hand.
We got a full combat load up, sir.
And by Jove, he did go for that mortar as well.
Waiting your orders, sir.
So we might be seeing an engagement right in the centre. Panzer is going towards the central victory point. Coming under fire, recoilless rifle rounds. Other stuff flying past them. They pull back. Heavy machine gun setting up, but it's not quite, I think, in a position to actually protect. Oh, well, never mind. But still, you know, Fedecrank needs to push. He needs to attack. He's again being much too passive. He managed to really do a lot of damage, and then what does he do? He just sits back. I mean, never ever hand over the initiative to your opponent.
The enemy is after our victory point.
And of course, with the mortar support, mine gets set off, getting a Panzergrenadier flanking in on the west here. Again, though, don't clump up. Mortar rounds flying right from the taking a bit of damage. We're seeing sandbags now by the engineers. We're seeing a slight retreat from here. Anti-tank gun keeps firing. Mortar rounds force the Panzer slightly away. Now we're seeing an attempt towards the west again. Rifle now exposed. They need to get out of there. KingWeef, get your men the bloody hell out of there. And Fedecrank, use focused fire for heaven's sake. And again, riflemen retreat. There we go. KingWeef getting the idea. Finally. Anti-tank gun exposed. What will happen? More rifle on the way, but again, no push onwards. Don't hang about. Getting crowd running into trouble. Airborne moving forward, and near to machine gun. Mortar could also pull forward, perhaps, you know, here.
Our fuel point is being taken by the enemy.
And Panzergun's going towards the west. Yes, the west. What shall KingWeef do? He shall pull onwards. And could be going after that light anti-tank half-tank with his recoilless rifles, doing quite a bit of damage there, indeed.
They're going after one of our munitions.
And now they are on the hunt. They smell blood. And at the same time, though, assault grenadiers are moving in.
We have territory out of supply.
If they're MP-44 or STG-44. And which does result in the airborne pulling out, but not before they do manage to knock out that light anti-tank half-tank, meaning 3 half-tanks in fact down again. Might be enemies to thus get the Bergtiger.
Supply lines are broken.
Grenadiers continue, though they are suffering losses as they advance. But come under heavy fire from the heavy machine gun, getting suppressed and quickly retreated. Another supply drop getting called in.
Listen up, people.
Riflemen harassing a bit. Nice to see. Troops getting reinforced here, that's good. Good, but again, I mean, supplied upgrade would also be an idea. He's in fact also going for a medic station. Great to see that. Great to see that. But let's go and look at Fedecrank, who's got 6 points, but he's not chosen a doctrine. I mean, again, hoarding points is not going to mean you actually end up getting things faster. It's actually going to be slower. So, I mean, you might as well spend them when you at least have an idea what you want, and then sort of work your way towards that. It's going to be faster than just accumulating an arseload of points. But another mortar and another heavy machine gun for KingWeef. More assault grenadiers. And the rifleman running into a bit of problem with the flak feeling in the base. And now a storm of assault grenadiers moving up. The 3rd Panzergrenadier Division is not going to be denied its victory right here. Oh dear, he forgot the rifleman and they got utterly annihilated. No idea why he went for the BAR. I mean, they're not going to be using it. They're going to be using the assault rifles. I mean, it might have been better to use it for one of those KVR-43 Panzergrenadiers. Which he's only lost one of those. He actually has quite a few Panzergrenadiers at increased squad sizes, that is. So he's actually got 20 Panzergrenadiers. Machine gun emplacement going up in the center. And again, I mean, we're seeing an absolute lack of anything from, I mean, Fedecrank. He's not really attacking, he's not pushing. He could have gone for the Panzer IV. He could be going for Panthers for all I know, but he's not doing it. He's just holding back. He's again lacking initiative, daring, elan, esprit de corps, or something like that. Just something that keeps him bloody well moving. He's certainly not much of a Panzergrenadier. Airborne are moving in, coming out a bit of fire, and lobbing off a grenade, doing a bit of damage there. 2, 3 Panzergrenadiers down, forcing the last one away. Others moving forwards, getting suppressed. Doesn't look like they actually have incendiary grenades either. Light fighting here in the west. Panzergrenadiers in need to get retreating, and they do. And still not one bloody attempt at using focused fire despite having the munitions for it. Fedecrank, what on earth are you doing? And again, why isn't the infantry half-track not supporting? And again, why aren't you using Panzer Grenadiers in the half-track? So many questions. Sadly no answers. Then again, a part of me doesn't actually want to know what the excuses might be. Now the anti-tank gun is sort of defending the base, but nothing's coming.
The enemy is seizing our territory.
The fighting continues, more airborne drop in. Panzergrenadiers are suffering quite a bit against us, and all that automatic fire. I mean, we're talking 4 BARs, that's quite a bit of fire actually. Panzergrenadiers moving up via the east. And tearing through those naughty little airborne. Getting a bit of veterancy, but the airborne do manage to get over there this time around.
Go ahead with orders. Send your orders. Panzergrenadiers, ready for orders.
But Fedecrank does need to break out. Needs to break free. And he needs something that can help him with it. Looks like he's gone for scorched earth for all I know. But we can see here in his... Yes, he has indeed gone for scorched in his kitten crab, which is forgotten up there. Brilliant. And again, no movement, no real maneuvering. Again, not good if you're supposed to be playing the Panzer Elite.
Self-propelled artillery pieces can
Apparently hoping for the Hummel to blast his way out of there. Not entirely sure if that's going to be doing the work for him. Kenkrad lost pretty much.
Under attack. We are down to 200 points.
Munitions depot secure.
But now advancing, grenading the Panzergrenadiers. Much too low falling grenade. And where shall the Hummel be firing today? I mean, if you're going to get a Hummel, you might as well use it. And we are seeing suppressive fire against the Panzergrenadiers, forcing them away. Good job, good job.
Supply lines are broken.
But why isn't the Hummel firing? Again, why isn't he really doing much? Why isn't he attacking?
Are now available for deployment. Unit down.
And there we go, Hummel firing. And what though? Preparing against that heavy machine gun, clearing it out while charging his other Panzergrenadiers against the other one. And not lobbing an incendiary grenade. Panzergrenadiers running into a problem, running into a lot of fire, losing a lot of men. And again, the half-tracks are not supporting.
The enemy advances.
Again, no focus fire, no anything. It is quite depressing to watch.
Unit has fallen to our might.
He is definitely not Panzer Elite.
Don't fuck up.
He shall tarnish the history of the 3rd Panzergrenadier Division, I fear. Half-tracks moving up. And there we go, full retreat. Push, man, push. Vorwärts, Männer. And then running into a strafing run. Thankfully didn't do much damage, so there's still a mortar to contend with. Somewhere. Hummel not really doing much.
We are losing ground.
And again, losing more and more territory. Not really going well for Fedecrank. Let's just speed this up. Not a lot happening. And I fear he might be sort of getting more and more prone to blobbing as things look bad. And again, that's not going to help him when, you know, his opponent uses strafing runs. And has heavy machine guns. launching forwards and getting hit by a strafing line, losing quite a few men, running into grenades and heavy machine gun fire. Panzer Grenadier team is lost. Again, not good at all. Terrible tactics, terrible strategy. Quite a few wasted opportunities. And the Hummels scored one more kill. That's not much. And quite a bit of mortar fight, gaining veterans 1 in the process, doing a lot of damage to those Panzer Grenadiers, forcing them off. And again, this is pretty much it, I think. Again, half-track's not getting used. Panzer Grenadiers not really getting properly used, but there we go. Half-track getting charged in before, not in support of the Panzer Grenadiers. Half-tracks to support them, not do the work for them. Airborne are not killed, which is, I suppose, a small miracle. But more heavy machine gun fire, more mortars are being arrayed against the Panzer Grenadiers, doing a lot more damage. And there you go, game over, a victory for the 79th Infantry Division when being faced against Panzer Grenadiers of the 3rd Panzer Grenadier Division. And of course, I mean, what can we learn from this? I mean, really, the main problem here again was sort of the lack of aggression. And again, that's sort of the novice mistake, one of the greatest. You know, they just sort of think, well, I have these few victory points, I'll just sit back and not try to push my advantage. I mean, push it and try at least to establish sort of a buffer zone so you have something you can actually afford to lose. So your opponent has to fight harder to get to something worth having. You know, I mean, that's the sort of things you have to sort of remember. But again, you know, don't just sit back. And also, I mean, he didn't use his half-tracks probably in support of his Panzer Grenadiers. He didn't use the infantry half-tracks with the Panzer Grenadiers in them. Great mistake there. And again, the anti-tank half-tracks could really have done a lot more with focused fire. Very bad, and he didn't push for something like, say, you know, either back to recover some of this, or get himself a Panzer IV or something either. Again, really bad. I mean, on the other hand, you know, not great unit preservation of KingWeefII. He lost a lot of troops here and there. Great job on, though, in the grenades and sort of getting his way back, but that was nice. But again, I mean, made your floor really low with Fedecrank. So there you go. Do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, why not subscribe and tell your friends, and if you didn't, well, why not send in a replay of your own. This is Imperial Dane saying cheers.